Western Oregon. This is NBC 16 News at 5:30.
Protesters are planning to gather at the New Hope Christian College this evening to call for the removal of the cross that sits on their campus hill. Good evening and thank you for joining us. I'm Jacqueline Mazer. Now, people say the cross represents a racist symbol stemming from historic events. NBC 16's Angelina Dixon joins us live outside the New Hope Christian College where protesters plan to gather
Jacqueline,
tonight.
we've been here since 5 and we have not seen any protesters yet. We're about halfway up the hill on the campus. People are walking up through the gate. And according to the college president, Wayne Cordero, he says the cross is not a racist symbol. Instead, it is a sign of faith and the sacrifice of Jesus Christ. Now, historically, in the 20s, the Ku Klux Klan burned crosses on Skinner Butte in Eugene. In the 60s, a cross for NHCC stood on Skinner Butte as a veterans' war memorial, according to the school website. And the cross was later moved here on campus. But Cordero wants to make sure there's no confusion with history. And now he says the cross does not represent any kind of racism. Cordero says legally the cross sits on private property and nobody is allowed on campus right now unless they check in at the gate and are given permission to come in. But Cordero just wants to make sure that everyone is coming together as a community. And Eugene police are standing by just in case anything goes down. We'll have updates for you on our website, NBC16.com. For now, Angelina Dixon at New Hope Christian College. Back to you, Jacqueline.
All right, thanks, Angelina. Well, this week's violent clash of protesters and police in Thurston leaves many questioning police actions, including some lawmakers. Our Kelsey Christensen is in the studio tonight to tell us more. Kelsey.
Jacqueline, this week, state leaders addressed the next steps for police reform and accountability. Today, I spoke with Senator James Manning about the protest and what he thought of some of the violence. Senator James Manning Jr. is a co-chair of a joint state committee to address police reform. They're looking at things anywhere from crowd control to banning chokeholds statewide.
I, for one, don't see that there's a broad brushstroke that's going to satisfy everything. It won't. But in cases where we have to have statewide standards, that is what I am looking at.
A recent demonstration in Thurston serves as an example of how local police handled a clash with a crowd.
What I saw was two women being drugged by the legs by officers. I think that punches were delivered while the woman was being drugged was excessive.
The senator says that exchange needs to be investigated. Currently, crowd control training is not done at the state level for new officers. The Department of Public Safety Standards and Training tells me that training is done at local agencies. Manning says crowd control tactics could be looked at a statewide level and points out funding is critical. Going forward, as a former police officer himself, he wants people to know he supports officers and wants to make sure they go home to their families after work. But on the same token, says it's very important that community members are safe and innocent people are not hurt by police.
We have to stop trying to pit officers against the citizens that they swore to protect and serve.
I also spoke with Springfield Police. They tell me their SWAT officers have crowd control training. They're also planning a department-wide training for that as well. Jacqueline?
All right, thank you, Kelsey. Well, new tonight, Eugene Police is asking for help in identifying a suspect and victim in an assault during Saturday night's riots near 7th and Oak Street. EPD released this video where we can see someone in a red shirt hitting a young boy in the face while riding his bike. Police say both the suspect and victim then left the area. EPD also released these two photos. Police say the man on the left wearing the white hat is the suspect. The photo on the right is the man who was seen with the suspect in the video. Anyone with information or any additional videos that could help in this ongoing investigation is asked to contact the Eugene Police Department. This weekend could set a new tone for recent protests in Portland. Oregon State Police have taken over for federal officers outside the federal courthouse, and last night remained mostly peaceful. Portland police say the largest crowds dispersed by 1 in the morning. Police say protesters were doing the enforcing downtown overnight. Police say a few of them put out fires set by others in the crowd and stopped them from climbing the fence. No arrests were made overnight. Well, the Lane County Sheriff's Office found a body in the Willamette River at Clearwater Park this afternoon. LCSO says someone called the police after seeing a woman in the water. Deputies believe it's the body of 22-year-old Abigail Bellows. Bellows was last seen July 22nd when she reportedly went underwater without a life jacket and did not resurface. The Lane County Sheriff's Office and the Lane County Medical Examiner's Office are investigating the death. The Oregon Health Authority reports 373 new confirmed and presumptive cases and 6 new deaths. Oregon has seen nearly 18,500 cases and 322 deaths. OHA says 10.3% of the confirmed and presumptive cases since the pandemic started have been people under the age of 18. Multnomah reported the most cases today with 77, followed by Washington, Marion, Umatilla, and Morrow. That's 226 cases in those 5 counties alone. Multnomah still has the most cases in Oregon with more than 4,300. In our region, Lane County has 503. Health officials reported 19 new cases. 3 of those cases are linked with long-term care facilities in Eugene, 1 resident at Green Valley Rehabilitation Health Center, and 1 resident and 1 staff member at Waterford Grand Assisted Living and Memory Care. 52 people are infected out of the total cases reported. 5 are hospitalized. Well, looking deeper into Umatilla County's growing case count, new data from Oregon State University's TRACE program estimates thousands of people in the city of Hermiston have COVID-19. The program tested a group of residents and 17% of samples came back positive. NBC 16's Stephanie Rothman spoke with the project leader and city leaders about the results. Stephanie, what did they find out?
Well, through testing, they're learning that initially worries about spikes there are now justified. This shows why the TRACE program is the key to answering questions about why certain places continue to become hotspots in our state.
The latest results from Oregon State University's testing project, TRACE, shows 17% of Hermiston residents tested are infected with COVID-19. That's the highest rate in the program so far. Researchers went door to door in more than 30 neighborhoods in the city to do testing. 41 people tested positive for the virus, and OSU scientists estimate nearly 3,000 people are currently infected in the city.
The combination of the high prevalence, how widespread it was across neighborhoods, and the fact that the majority of participants who were infected did not report symptoms. Those 3 things together were concerning.
Right now, Umatilla, Multnomah, and Washington counties make up more than half the total number of cases in the state.
You can't take the French fry processing plant home with you to do that work from home.
Hermiston's assistant city manager, Mark Morgan, says the combination of food processing plants and agriculture may explain the surge.
We get a lot of folks here that are presented with that real tough challenge where even though they know that they may need to be staying home or doing some of these things, it's just simply financially not possible for them.
He believes the testing is helpful and shows how vital social distancing, wearing masks, and washing your hands is, especially now.
Important just to know what the situation is, how widespread is the prevalence, so that appropriate decisions can be made. Obviously, we want to reopen as much as we can, but not push it to the point where we end up on a really bad trajectory.
Hermiston currently remains at baseline stay-at-home orders, a warning to other counties as Oregon continues the fight to contain the virus.
Now, data also points out that asymptomatic transmission is high, so 80% of those in Hermiston, those residents, they've tested positive in trace sampling. They did not report symptoms of the virus. Researchers will continue to test the community until numbers get under control there. Jacqueline?
All right, good news there, Stephanie. Thank you. Well, those trying to escape the heat and stay physically distant are turning to the outdoors. Overcrowded campgrounds and hiking trails have become the norm. But as NBC 16's Tom Adams reports, forest managers say people need to be prepared.
A funny thing happened on the way to your summer camping destination.
I think with COVID, everyone's trying to just do something safe with friends and family.
Thanks to coronavirus travel restrictions, there's not much to do this summer except enjoy some short-distance camping. But wait, everyone else has the same idea.
Coldwater Cove, Paradise, Delta Campground, and seeing near full occupancy at those sites most days of the week.
Recreation Manager John Erickson at the Willamette National Forest says for his 26 campgrounds in the McKenzie Ranger District, it is Jam City. People are flooding to campsites and popular trails in unprecedented numbers. Trails like the one that leads to Proxy Falls off the old McKenzie Highway. And where people can't find an improved campsite, many are improvising.
Because it's so busy out on the landscape, we're actually observing visitors making brand new campsites that have never been used before.
Which Erickson tells me is not illegal per se, but pioneering campsites becomes a big headache if people don't pack out their trash or leave behind human waste.
There's no getting around it. The great outdoors has become the cramped outdoors in 2020, especially at super popular campgrounds like here at Clear Lake.
Camper Eric Smith from Albany says he slipped into Coldwater Cove Campground early Tuesday and grabbed this last available first come, first served spot.
I've never seen campgrounds so full as they have been this year. It's been amazing. So you have to be creative and flexible.
It's just a case of supply and demand at Oregon campgrounds, and right now, demand is the big winner. In the Willamette National Forest, I'm Tom Adams.
Well, Tom, looks like I'm canceling my plans for camping this weekend. All right, well, still ahead on your only local news at 5:30. A court overturned the death sentence of the Boston Marathon bomber, what led a 3-judge panel to make this decision.